Good night, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for joining us for our sixth Combermere live interview. Tonight, it is our pleasure to have as a guest in the studio former jockey and trainer Sean Hall. Thank you, Sean, for joining us tonight.
Thank you. You're very welcome, Charles. I'm very glad to be here
All
among
right,
Marians again. Yes, brilliant.
excellent. So we want to start off. We want to get through as much as we can about your life in the hour allotted to us. So let me
Hmm.
start off by asking you, what are your memories of your early life growing up in the UK, in England?
Horses to be. I still remember sitting down with my grandmother watching horse racing on a black and white TV in Liverpool, and I don't think my life has changed much since those days.
And what about when you came to Barbados?
Well, we went to Trinidad first, and
Okay.
Trinidad was more horses because that's my father was a big horse racing fan, so guys like Venice Richards and Winston Walton and Byron Clark and Godfrey Griffith, all those sort of guys used to hang at our house,
Mm-hmm.
babysit me actually. And
Nice.
you know, Trinidad first, and then Barbados. It was more Byron Clark. Then soon after that, that's the mid 70s. I Sonia Perkins her uncle used to live 2 houses down from myself. So I used to hang with Sonia. She was a little older than me. So, she was somebody I used to look up to back then. And soon after that, she started writing in 79. And she was the first person that I knew close. I had a personal relationship with that was a jockey.
Mm-hmm.
And I must go back a bit too, because from going to races, Godfrey Griffith, and that's how we met Ricky Griffith very early in life. You know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
from going to race my father, I met Godfrey Griffith, and so it was a combination of so much different things coming at me from all different angles. But I don't think it's nothing else I wanted to do from the time I was like 2 or 3. It's been the horse racing industry.
Well, I mean, it's an interesting point that you mentioned, Sonia. As an aside, has there been any have there been any female jockeys since her performance here?
They have, but they have not been able to reach her standard.
Okay.
Sonia was very good at what she did, and a lot of girls. It's a hard business for women here in the islands, man. You know what I mean? North America, those places, it was very common. Like when I first went to Canada, half the workforce was women. Here in Barbados, when they got one or two in the backside, their men get crazy and do all foolishness and chase them away. So
Okay.
it's hard for when a young lady stick it in. She deserves a medal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mr. Producer, I would like you to stand by bring up the slideshow because we wanna have some pictures in the background when we discuss some of these other things.
Hmm.
Um, so I want to have some insight into your family
Hmm.
and how your parents impacted on your life.
Mm. Well, let me start. My father had no problem with me riding horses.
Hmm.
My mother, on the other hand, hated it.
Okay.
So it was by that time my mother and father they were divorced already. And what happened was, my father. All right. Let me start. Let me start from the way back, because when I was at school, primary school, I was so bad at school that you know what I mean. It didn't look like we passed anything, and they told me that they would allow me to start riding horses if I passed, and all of a sudden I became Einstein. And just saying, I don't know, it just happened.
That was your real love for horses. By
Yeah,
any means possible, you wanted to get by the horse.
anywhere near. So I managed to do, okay, and from there I started writing on. I used to write on weekend from Friday. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday up at Melrose in St. Thomas. That's where I used to ride when I first started. And that was really, with my mom not liking it at all. And I think it got even worse. My first day at the garrison, I was, I will never forget, I was standing with Cedric Lewis. We were two young guys who had now learned to ride in riding school. And one of the fellas, his name was Dexter, gave this horse called Clear Majority to Cedric to hold. And the horse was walking around us, and she just turned and charged me and picked me up right under my chest. And she bit a piece out of my chest. And I don't know if the bite got me sick, but when I used to spend the weekends with my father, so when I went home to my mother, no, I got sick. I was seeing like boulders coming at me, you know what I mean? So I more like it was seeing things, from the fever I had. I had a bad fever. And
The horse bite.
so I don't know if it's the horse bite. I would have to think it was the horse bite.
Yeah,
But what happened was my mother was rubbing me down, and she wanted to rub my chest, and I kept keeping my back to her, you know what I mean? And she flipped me over, and she saw this big bite. And it was about 2 o'clock in the morning. I remember she called my father, and so the thing was that I fell and got hit, you know what I mean? So we stuck to that plan that it was a fall.
okay.
It was a horse bite.
So we see some photos up here,
Yeah.
where that's your mom and dad.
Yes, that's in Trinidad.
That's in Trinidad, right?
And the picture to the top, next to that, at the top, it does myself, Anthony Husbands, and Ricky Griffith. Those are the two guys who really created what you see in Canada right now with all the guys doing well up there. They're the first two guys to go to Canada in 1987,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that was my 40th birthday party in when I was living in Canada at my house in Canada.
Okay.
But
All right.
that picture meant a lot to me because Ricky has died since then. He's died last year, and
Okay.
Turkey's still here with us. Anthony, he was just here in Barbados, so I like that picture there. The one below, right under my parents, that's myself and Ricky in the. I think that was in. When was that? No, that was in 1998 or so when I went back up training
Mm,
horses in '98.
right.
We were at the party, and the next one there's my daughter and my granddaughter. So
All right.
yeah, my first grand, and my firstborn, my daughter, Siobhan.
Excellent.
Mm.
So if we can move to the next slide, we should be looking at some stuff with the next topic, which was your memories of being a schoolboy at Combermere School.
Oh Lord.
Uh, well, actually, what you're going to see now is,
But that's
you
Miss
know,
Phillips there. She taught me art, which I was terrible at. But I still
mhm,
loved her. She was cool. I liked her a lot.
yeah. So that picture, she would have been your form teacher in 3E.
She taught me art and when I was in, I don't know if it was 3E or 2E. I can't remember. But I was so bad at it that I tell you the truth, school is a blur to me because I started writing, as you know, at 14 years old at Combermere. And when that happened, that was my only I don't know, man. I mean, now that I'm older, certain things at school I loved.
Hmm.
That teacher was Derek Seeley. He
Hmm.
was he was brilliant teacher. I mean, he explained things. I did very well in his class. I think I did well in geography, history,
Hmm.
um, and I don't think too much other than those. So it was a
So,
problem. And
so how do you think then that the school, Combermere School, impacted on your life in preparation for a successful
um,
horse racing career?
I was so well received at Combermere when I was a jockey. I mean, all the older guys used to hang with me because all them guys want tips. And my one of my best friends was Michael Burnett Mooney. He Mooney and oh Lord, but both of them died. Lord, I can't remember the other guy name was son, and I remember that early on. But they were my buddies at school right through. Horse fans.
Crazy.
Quincy, well, yeah, Quincy. How you know that? Quincy, man. Yeah.
Man.
Quincy. Mooney and Quincy, both of them died. Unfortunately, I'm still here. And but we did a lot. I think it was a race, horse racing thing. So we were just together all the time. And after, I remember Roland Holder, of course, because he was such a good batsman at school.
Right.
And I can't forget Hoghead. Basketball and Hoghead, man.
Hey, boy. So tell me, we know that your love for horse racing started very early.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but
I
what
did
really
cricket at Combermere too, you know.
remember?
Don't forget that. I played cricket at Combermere,
You
and
play cricket?
yeah, I played cricket. I think I made the. I think what happened was I played one match in the under was is under 14 or under 15. It was
on,
round
on the
two.
13th. Mm.
Yeah. And what happened was my mother wasn't happy with what I was doing at school with my I think it was Latin and something else. So during summer vacation, she had me going twice a week to lessons,
Lessons.
and then cricket was like I think that was twice a week also, and then it started cutting into my horse horse riding stuff. So
Hmm.
I couldn't get rid of lessons, so I got rid of cricket. So that's why I stopped playing cricket to tell the truth, and concentrated on writing.
So when this concentrations to writing now,
Mhm.
you mentioned Sonia before. Was she the person that really inspired you? Who
Um,
actually introduced you to horse racing?
um, I would say more Godfrey Griffith more than anything else. Because Sonia Sonia got me my attention because she was somebody I walked around Deal Gardens with as a youngster. So I felt that if she could do it and she's a girl too, I said, well, I could do it also. You know what I mean? And I
Hmm.
followed her soon. She started in 79 and I came in 1981.
Hmm.
And I was 14 when I started writing. So anyway, I was very young, you know, I was very, very young.
And what was your first experience like? I personally have always adopted the view: if it can think for itself, don't drive it. So I mean, like, what was your first experience like getting on a horse? A very big animal,
I tell you what,
capable of making
first
its own
horse
decisions, anything.
I ever got on was a pony up at Hopefield Farms by Sir David Seals. My
Hmm.
father took me up there and they had this little white pony and I forgot. And that's the first horse, you know what I mean? So that made, I don't know, man, that had me kind of going crazy. You know, just getting on top of a horse was a big deal to me back in those days.
So
And
you weren't intimidated at all, anyway.
um, I don't, let me see something. How do you put this nicely? Up to now, well, I'm an older man now, but in my younger days, I didn't have much sense. So things, I didn't have nothing called fear was between my ears.
Okay.
I feared nothing. I used to surf and can't swim, sir. So what I tell you.
Okay, I got you covered. So, but did you back then did you had this love, but did you ever envision yourself as becoming a jockey and a very good one at that?
I don't know if a very good one, but being a writer, yeah. I mean, very early in my career, I fell and broke my what they call the wing. And I remember going to school in a sling. I had to wear it off like 6 weeks or something like that. But
Mm.
it didn't stop me from catching the bus and pushing to get a bus and that sort of thing. I used to put the sling up front and just lean in, you know.
Hmm.
But no, I mean, put it this way: when you fall from a horse, two things can happen. You ain't bothering to get back up, or you have amnesia and don't even remember it happened and just continue. And I always had amnesia. I don't falls don't mean nothing to me.
Oh
I
boy.
must have thought After I turned 40, it became a problem because that's
Yes,
when I
as you get
started.
older, these
I
injuries
start,
become
yeah.
a bit more.
I never bounce anymore. I start sticking in the ground, and when you stick in the ground, you feel
When you break
everything.
things.
I think that's
Mhm.
why I ended up having so much problems with my what do you call it? I had spinal cord surgery and that kind of stuff. So
Mhm.
it eventually wear down on your body as you get older.
Yeah. So I mean, we'll get back around to the horse racing, but um, I also noticed that you are an accomplished songwriter.
I don't know how. I don't know. I don't. Sir, please don't say that, sir. Not a con-
Mr. Producer, could you give our audience two short bars of two songs that Sean has written, please?
I haven't made nothing from none of them.
3 years have gone since your last breath. Still feel the pain of how you left. That pain will stay until the day I rest. Only seen just once since you've been gone. Still
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's one. There was another one that's pretty nice as well.
another winter is come and gone, and summer isn't that far. Saw my first robin in the backyard today. It seems every year remains the same, with me digging my own grave.
Now, these two songs are very meaningful to you. Could you share with us quickly what inspired you to write these two pieces?
Life was very hard at the dark times, man. I mean, and I'm not one. You see, when I was involved, I wrote these songs when I got hurt. So I was home hurting and nothing going right in my life. You know what I mean? Everything seemed to be just falling apart
Hmm.
every day or every year, and songs like that now. And I felt at the time that if I didn't start doing something, I was gonna go crazy. So I started writing and started, going on the internet and seeing how to put a song together. I knew I had all the lyrics. I had lyrics coming out my head, so I was writing. Then I started just putting songs, building songs, I would say, and then so as this lyric said with the song with my brother. So my brother died in 2006, I think it is 6 or 7. But yeah, 2007. Sorry, it would be in 2007 because I wrote that song in 2010. And it took me 3 years to write that song. That's when, because I wasn't doing nothing. If I if I didn't get hurt in my life, I don't think I would have written anything. I would just continue writing horses. Yes, I always knew that birds would always float around my head, and I know what I mean, but I never really paid any attention to it, I should say. But when I got hurt and there was nothing going on in my life and these words in my head, and so I just started writing to save myself from going crazy because I thought I was crazy already because to be riding horses, you gotta be a little bit crazy to do that.
All right. During your horse racing career,
Mhm,
you are known for your accomplishments and for making headlines. All right.
mhm.
If you don't mind, I would like you to take us back to the last day of Woodbine, the thoroughbred season in 2009, when you suffered that accident and that back injury, which resulted in a life changing event as far as you're concerned.
Well, all I could tell you when I got hurt, it changed my life. All right, everything that you all the compliments you've done. You had a house, everything, and all of a sudden I couldn't work anymore, and life just went the wrong way. Put it that way. It went the wrong way quickly because um, I think it's safe to say I had all the eggs in one basket. I had a bunch of horses, and I did all the work. So when you
Mhm.
cut the head off the snake, you're in trouble, right? And things just went bad, and I had no choice. Eventually, surgery. I had surgery done. First, I had they thought it was my shoulder, so I did the shoulder sign called slap tear. They found it took them 9 months to find out I had a slap tear.
Mhm.
After doing that, I had after I was trying to do the rehab for my shoulder, they realized that I started getting a stiff neck, and they just panicked. I said that stop doing everything, and when they checked, I have bulging discs and all kind of stuff, and they told me if I don't do surgery, pretty very soon I'd be in a wheelchair. So
Mhm.
that your whole life when you're a jockey, you tend to you always know your neck or your back could go very quickly. You know what I mean? You won't fall, you could break your neck and you're paralyzed. So I thought I passed that stage of my life of having those problems, and it's like that. I was right those problems, and but I got it fixed. I got it fixed. I got it fixed. I got it fixed. I had something called fusion of my C4 and C5 vertebrae,
Right.
and that kind of that kind of it helped me for a little while. The doctor told me that I just gotta make sure I don't fall again. If I
Okay.
fall, he
That's
can't
it.
guarantee. Wait, he told me don't get on horse anymore and that because I can't guarantee if you fall off if your neck is still stable.
True. So this would have then made you explore some other hats. So you started off as a jockey. Um, so
But
which
don't
means
forget,
that you would.
by this time I was training, right? But I still used to get on a lot of horses. I still used to
Yeah.
get on horses and ride. I know what I mean. But
So
this
then you would start concentrating on the training more and the breeding.
not really, because what happened was at that stage of my life, I did all the work myself, and when I got hurt, it just messed up everything. You know what I mean? Everything went south of the border. Everything. So the horses, I had to get rid of horses and change. Everything changed up. I mean,
Okay.
everything just went into I don't know because of the shock of what happened or what was going on in your life. Everything just went into tailspin, man. And
Okay.
it was a nice. It was a nice.
You started putting yourself back together. You did the songwriting to help you through this stage.
Mhm.
And I know I realized that you also do a podcast called Journeys. You could tell us a
Horse,
little bit about what Journeys is about?
yeah, horse racing journeys. But this one is funny because I when I was hurt, I used to watch a lot of cricket and that kind of stuff
Mm-hmm.
in Canada, and I noticed that Canada had like 4 or 5 cricket stations, right?
Yes.
And all these things stations had a lot of no-name people who are analysts and that kind of stuff. And I was saying to myself, I said, but we got so much stars back home that why we can't do something like this back home too, but with all our stars put together. But back then, it's not like what we are doing now. You know what I mean? Back then, there had no StreamYard or no Zoom or nothing like that. You had to get a website and build a website and go that route. And
Mm-hmm.
that became a problem with getting everybody on board, and it just did not go forward. You couldn't get everybody on the same page, and it got so I got so fed up trying to get these older cricket players to the thing. I said, look, I can do this thing myself because I really and truly didn't think I had what you see me doing now. I didn't think that wasn't me. You know what I mean? I just didn't think I could do that. And I decided to just jump off the cliff. And if I splatter out on the road or land in some trees, so it seemed that I landed some trees and I'm okay right now. The show came about, well, I no, the show has evolved a lot from when it first started. I started with another guy there and he we didn't see eye to eye on, you know what I mean, on how things were going. So I moved on from him, and then I started my, the group you see here now. I mean, actually, the producer on my show is Sean Hammer
Mm-hmm.
Miller. You know what I mean? He's Combermere. We we spent a lot of time, we were 2E, 3E. We was all the classes together. So,
Mm-hmm.
it's good to be working with somebody like him who I spent my younger days with, and we could still be doing something like what we're doing now.
Excellent.
Um, no, it's we have a following, and we seem to be it's heading in the right direction. Actually, something good happened today. We realized we now got a new sponsor, Mongier Rum.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm very happy about that to have Mongier on
Congrats,
board. Thank you, because we plan to do some events coming up for the Sandlin Gold Cup.
man.
So Monge is on board with us now, and hopefully we could get a couple more sponsors.
Mm-hmm.
The Barbister Club also, but they're one of our sponsors already. So, but
Yeah.
they're still doing things to help us.
Mm-hmm.
So we're all right. We're doing all right.
All right. No, you made some headlines in Canada when you couldn't write anymore after the accident. You started to get into
Eating horses.
breeding classic horses, people that would be contenders in the classics. What was that
Yeah,
experience for you?
man, that was I. You know what? But let me start from the beginning, man, because I it all started with a horse by the name of I claimed a horse called Gold Line. I claimed her for
Right.
$60,000 in 2000, I think it was. And Gold Line, she was a claimer. We managed to win a race with her, and then soon after she won, her leg gave her trouble, and it was still breeding season. And a friend of mine, Bill Toronto, told me, "Man, Sean, don't worry, I'll get the stallion for you on the this." And I left it to him, and we went to a stallion called Whiskey Wisdom. And the
Okay.
first foal was a horse called Wisdom is Gold. I named her. Named her Wisdom is Gold.
Mm-hmm.
And she turned out to be a stakes. She won a stake race with me also, and a stake place a lot of times. I did well with her. So I started as a breeder. I started really well. That's the best way to start. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Not
Mm-hmm.
no, I mean not a big stake, but she's black type. She was black type, and that was very important.
Mm-hmm.
And the mare kept just throwing good conformation horses, good looking horses. Everything was everything right. I even got even before Pirate Mountain came along, I sold a horse called Bear's Gold. I sold him for $169,000.
Whoa.
And yeah, what was right, boy. I I didn't that night was one of the best nights of my life because I remember we at the sale and Ricky Griffith told me, Paul, you're not getting more than $30,000 for this horse. I said,
Boy,
I
was
said,
he off.
I
He
said,
was way
that's
off.
your, I said, that's your opinion, Griff, but I feel you can get more, right?
Yeah.
And I remember, when you're in the business of selling horses, you always have one or two people, bidding up the helper, And
Mm-hmm.
I remember when she got to 50,000, I did like this to my friends, I said, stop, stop.
Yeah,
I was happy for 50,000, right?
yeah,
And it just went from 50 to 70. When it got to 100,000, I started doing a war dance, man. I said, look, 100,000,
yeah. Mm.
and it stopped at 169,000. And that was a big deal for me because it took me in a different my hats were in so much different things. You know what I mean? I'm now a breeder who's selling horses for a lot of money, and
Mm.
it was awesome. And then soon after that, this horse came along. He was Pirate Mountain. I sold him for 50,000, but he made me a lot more money after he was sold because he used to do very well
Mhm.
on British premiums and that kind of stuff. The last race he ran was in the States. He came second in a $750,000 race and just got beat. And I never seen him since then. But he did good for me also. I mean,
Mhm.
when you breed good horse at that, breeds premium money comes in handy. You know what I mean? Really
True.
handy. Yeah.
Well, with this injury now and Canada's severe weather, like what they getting now,
Yeah.
you would have
Yeah.
probably started to get some serious discomfort, and you would have made the decision to come back to Barbados.
Well, everything was going wrong in my life. So I mean, I was saying to myself, well, either I can stay here and die, or let me go home and see because I'm still on a lot of painkillers. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? I'm still taking a lot, and it started to affect my stomach, and you know what I mean. I was just.
Yeah.
But one thing I said before that, when I was hurt, it was a good thing I got hurt because a lot of things I'm doing now I learned when I was hurt. So
All
I
right.
do a lot of rehab work with horses, so
I
laser treatments
understand
and
that
that kind of
that uses a special technique, this laser technique.
yeah, with laser and stuff. And a friend of mine taught me that because I remember when I was um I was home and she told me, Sean, look, instead of staying home all the time, come with me and try and learn what I'm doing. I'm Kim Spears. I mean, she was a sweetheart. And Kim, I said, all right, Kim. So I remember going to the stables with her, holding the horses, very kind of, when you're holding a horse and you're watching somebody do something, you start to think a lot, you know what I mean? I used to say to myself, I said, look at you. Up to a year ago, you were training horses here, and now you are the end of a shank. Yes, no, babe, I know what
Hmm.
you're doing. You're going nowhere, you're talking down to yourself. And I remember one day we were working on this horse. It was from another trainer friend of mine named Gordy Colbert, and it was a great horse. I remember that. So we went to this horse before, and then she came back to do him just before the race. And
Hmm.
she said, Sean, this horse is going to win today. I made a
Hmm.
mistake. I said, give me a program and let me see what the odds on this horse was. So I checked, the horse was 50-1.
Hmm.
So I looked at her and I
Not very
said,
good odds.
it was terrible odds. I said, Kim, this
Horse in the
horse is
game.
so good. So good. What win you talking about? You know what I mean? He's no good,
Mhm.
50-1. And then she said, you know what, Sean? We're going to stay and watch this horse run. And I was kind of pissed because it was like 10:30 in the morning and the horse race was like the seventh race. So it was like in the afternoon. So that meant we had to sit in the
Spend
kitchen
your whole day there.
the whole day. You know what I mean? And I ain't really a kitchen person, you know what I mean? But she there. So I know I wasn't driving, so I had to sit with her. I remember when the race came now, I watching the race and I saw the horse cutting, he came from behind and we started going in between horses and he just got beat. In the last jump, he just missed. And the
Whoa.
horse had like $100 to come second. So his odds even drifted
The odds
out.
were bigger than 50-1, eh?
Yes, he drifted out, right?
Yeah.
And when that happened, my mouth was just on the ground, like, you know what I mean? I said, she actually doing something to help these horses, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
And that's when I started actually paying a lot of attention. I must go back a bit to my early days when I went to Canada. There was a vet called Leah Gottard. She
Hmm.
taught me a lot also about the acupuncture points of horses.
Hmm.
And she she really kind of started me mentally thinking, going in the right direction. You know what I mean? because she was the only vet I knew that she would come and go over a horse and tell me left knee, right hock. One time she said, Sean, I don't know what this point is. I feel it might be a tibia. Get the scan done to find out. I spent $1,000 to find out that what she told me was a tibia. So she really had me. I would really, because other vets know their technique was to block, right?
Mm-hmm.
They would block for the hoof first. So if you still somewhere, you know the hoof narrow, the hoof, then they go to the ankle, they go to the knee. You know what I mean? So by just blocking, where she
Yeah.
would just go and tell me. So I would really. So I worked very closely for her for years. You know what I mean? That's when she used to come and work on horses. Back in those days, she used to do the massage technique and that kind of stuff. But massaging a horse is very, when you massage a horse, what happens is that it works, but you got to give them time to recover, you know, 2, 3 days. So you can't train them the next day or nothing like that. So it takes a little while to get the
Just the
results.
training. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, no, it was good. It gets all those muscles, that tight muscles, nice and soft again. That's what you want. But the thing with laser treatment now, laser treatment does the same job, but you don't have to wait. You don't have that toxins because the massages release a lot of toxins into the body. Basically, what
Mm-hmm.
it is, not toxins. Laser, when you go and do laser, go straight to the point. It does everything right. You know what I mean? Take
These
away
would be
pain.
toxins like lactic acid, the same sort of
Yeah,
toxins that would
something.
affect a human
Yeah,
athlete.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Sense of that type of thing. But is you ever got massage before you get sore? You
Yes.
actually get sore when you get massage,
Regular
right? So
massage does make you sore, yeah.
you're
Mm-hmm.
very sore. So you same thing with horses, right?
Yeah.
So if you're sore, you're not gonna perform.
Not good
So
perform.
but after a few
Call
days,
it
you
pink
get
legs.
better and better, right?
Mm-hmm.
So she
No, I
really
mean
taught
like when you're massaging the horses and stuff like that there sometimes. I guess we did an interview with Norville a couple of
me.
episodes ago, who is in the animal space.
Yes, yes,
Um, and we were talking about the different temperaments and stuff.
yes.
Um, horse. I mean, I remember a time I was talking to you on a horse, straight to pin you to a wall.
Right, that was this morning.
This
I
morning, yeah,
It was this
this
morning.
morning.
Yes. What happened is, no, that's a horse that he ran on Saturday and he won. He's an old horse. His name is Show the Money.
Mm,
So he now won 2 races back to back, and he's a horse that when I first started working on him, he had a lot of problems, and um now as you can see, he's now won 2 races back to back. But it
mm,
just shows you that if you do the right things to some horses or any horse, I would say, you got to keep on doing the right things, right? But
mm.
he's very aggressive. You know what I mean? He's a horse that
How do you handle that?
um I just ignore it. You know,
Well,
just ignore it. Try to get out the line of fire. That's what you do.
yeah, that's a
When
serious thing to
that,
fire there, too, boy.
make sure that you are right on your right side of that kick. You know what I mean? No
Hmm.
horses. Hor- this is how we see horses now. I mean, anytime I see a horse standing up in the gates or don't want to train or very angry and bitter and sour, you know what I mean? Those are
Hmm.
the sort of horses I would love to work with because I know they're angry and aggressive because they're hurting.
Hmm.
So I mean, I deal with a few horses that are like that right now, and get everything, get them back.
Hmm.
Once you take without pain, you will see that a horse becomes a different animal. Very, yeah,
Yeah.
a different animal. So
So,
I mean, like,
what sort of suggestions you would give to the viewers, especially youth that would be interested in horse racing? In our conversation this morning,
but
we talked
listen,
about the
sir,
academy.
yeah, but say that again.
In our discussion this morning, we talked about this academy to train
Oh,
youngsters.
yeah. I mean, listen, that's a bigger problem we have here in Barbados. Since the 80s until now, all of our best horsemen have been leaving Barbados, going to Canada,
Hmm.
and has left a big, I would say, not even a hole, that it will go be a well by now. You know what I mean? It too deep now to thing. And when you do that, there's a breakdown in the whole system. And youngsters, I've noticed now, don't got respect for older fellas. Some people just, some fellas just disrespectful, period. You know what I mean? And they're just ignorant. And it has just created a whole lapse in the system. So when you got that kind of behavior going on and youngsters seeing it, obviously they're gonna start getting on like what they see. And I think we really academy here because not only for to keep things in check, but Barbadians seem to love the horse racing industry. And I see a lot of youngsters who should be bowling fast for the West Indies,
Oh,
looking the right horse.
yeah.
But I can't stand. You know what I mean? Anytime a youngster is my height and he's 17 and you look at me in my eye, you know what I mean? And he's 117, 18 pounds, you know, you got a problem. You know,
Okay.
even when I was that age, I wasn't that heavy. You know, when I started, I was 80 pounds when I started. No, so it's just I just find that something has to be done because we want to keep youngsters going. I think anytime you have talent, it shouldn't be wasted in Barbados. Barbados should always be the learning. I always call the Garrison the home of champions because many of our guys who have been champions in North America started at the Garrison, and there's a reason for that. You got to know how to ride a horse to ride the Garrison, and when you leave the Garrison, everywhere else you will go will be very easy to handle.
Easy. So I mean, the Garrison is a turf track, grass.
It's turf, but it's tight. It's a tight track. It's small, so in other tracks, it's so big. Everybody run in lanes. You know what I mean? Everybody's spaced out, and nobody don't. But when you're at the Garrison, you're like a sardine can. You're packing on top of one another, and you're tight.
You gotta learn to handle.
You gotta learn to stay behind somebody and don't clip heels and don't, you know what I mean, bounce wrong. You gotta learn to steer and be straight and thing. And it's amazing. I mean, you're not gonna get that anywhere else. How we right here.
So what type of services? No, other types of services. I know there was always the turf and there was always the dirt, but now you understand there's some like synthetic surfaces as well.
Yes, they got poly and tappy or something like that name. But those are things that they're more aligned to turf. So you find horses who like the turf will like that surface. You don't find a dirt horse, you know what I mean, liking that. So turf and that are hand in hand. And I think that's why breeders now have gone more towards turf breeding because they could switch from the poly to turf very easily. You don't find a turf horse. It's very rare you'll find a horse liking the dirt and then liking the turf. Very, very rare.
Okay.
Yeah, I said right. Turf and the dirt, yeah. It happens, but not often.
One of our other moderators would like to pose a question to you. So Hess, producer, if you could bring Hess on board to ask his question.
Hi, Sean. How you doing, sir?
I'm great, man. How are you doing, brother?
You are a very inspiration to a lot of people, young and old. Keep doing what you're doing. First of all, I'd like to say that. I would like to know who were your mentors and idols that you looked up to and people who helped you along the way.
For some reason, when I was young, especially in Trinidad, Vince Richards, Winston Walton, Byron Clark, spent a lot of time with my father at the house and that kind of stuff. So they were the first set of people I looked up to because they were writers and that kind of stuff. And then when it came to live in Barbados, it became Godfrey Griffith. Godfrey Griffith was very close to me. That's Ricky Griffith's dad.
Okay.
And I don't know. Godfrey he had a way. I don't know. I just he used to ride a horse called Wixo, and you know what I mean. And
Mm-hmm.
I remember when he won a race one time, man, the crowd, man, you know, that sort of things, you know, excite you when you're young to see how he was treated. And I remember when he used to ride, and he was from Britton Hill, and all that guys from Britton Hill used to wait to take his bike at the road. You know what I mean? Everybody used to fight for whole Godfrey bike to go at the road and that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So we spent, he was close to us. Then we became like one big family, right? Because he always told me that until Ricky met me, Ricky wasn't interested in riding horses,
Okay.
right? Ricky wasn't interested, but I was the little one. Always, I want to ride, and then Ricky kind of said, "I need to go along with him." You know what I mean? And he came along with me and started. You know, we were like brothers. We used to live like brothers. Because he used to live in Britton Hill. I used to live in Barclays Terrace. Because my mother and father divorced, but I quickly realized that it's best for me to move by my father if I wanted to have a writing career. Because my mother was in my ear all the time. You better go to school like this and that. So at least my father was very open to me riding horses. I give a nice joke. I give a joke. I remember when I went to India in 1983. So I was still going to school at Polytechnic at the time. And when my father left to go to India, I just stopped going to school because I was the last body. I was the youngest in the group. So Ricky and them guys finished school, Turkey finished school, everybody was surfing, and I still at school. So when my father left, I said, "I'm done with this shit," you know what I mean? So I said, "Done." So I stopped going to school, and I used to go and surf. So what happened was I started putting on weight. So the surfing thing, when everybody else was staying slim or bony, because don't forget, Ricky Griffith's father is a jockey, and Anthony Husband's father was a jockey. My father is Wes Hall, who weighed about 200 pounds. I'm born and fast.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, now my physique, I start looking like a bodybuilder. I start getting heavy, and you know, from the surfing, right? The surfing, I start building muscles, and nobody else is building muscles, but I building muscles.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember when my father called and said, "Listen," he realized that I gotta be doing shit. All of a sudden, my weight gone up, must be almost 10 pounds just in a month that he gone. So he said, "Listen, you want to come up to India and Australia? You want to?" At first, I didn't really too keen on it because them places were really far, and I don't like flying, and I didn't really want to do it. But after I say, "You know what?" Or I'll do it. And no, I got the flight done. So we went to India. So I remember we arrived in Bombay. So, oh yes, I told my mother, I can tell the people at school that I ain't coming back. She said, I'm the parent. I'm going to tell the people. So I said to myself, Lord, this ain't going to be good at all. Because if she go up there, they can hear that. They didn't see me for a while, right?
Mm-hmm.
So said, so done. She went when I was in the air. So when I got to Bombay, my mother cursed me for about half hour.
Yeah. At least it was on the range.
But she blessed to blame me, man. She blessed to blame me for half hour. How I embarrassed her a bit. She got there and I this or that. So when she eventually put down after the blinding I got, I said, my father, no, he can tear me. No, he right here.
Mm-hmm.
And my father never did nothing. He didn't say a word.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't say a word. And I ain't said nothing that I played foolish too. You know what I mean? I said, well, all right. But it bothered me, not bothered me, but I always was And I asked him, was about 20 years or 30 years later. I only asked him recently. I said, Daddy, how come after my mother cursed me, you and he said, man, your mother, I know my children, but schooling for you. That's why he bring you out here.
But tell me
He said,
something though. Tell me something. Your love for
no.
horses, your love for horses, which is boneless, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the nature is you gotta get up really early and you gotta sometimes work late, 7 days a week.
Mm-hmm.
You get exposed to some aggressive horses and stuff. And you have to be careful with the injuries you already have. So
Mm-hmm.
based on this, what would you find as the most challenging part of your job?
Me right now,
Yeah, right now, the job you're doing now, yeah. The rehabilitation stuff.
maybe I I got bad back and stuff. Maybe I got injuries still, so things hurt. I know recently start back riding again, and I already take a fall because I had a young horse that came in and he threw down some jockeys, and all of a sudden nobody don't want to ride the horse. So I said, well, I could still ride. So I I get on the horse every morning now. He dumped me once, but we
Mm-hmm.
becoming to have good understanding. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? You still have to be when you when you're dealing with babies, you gotta let them know who's in charge. And
Mm-hmm.
if you don't let
Mm-hmm.
them know who's in charge, then they're gonna be do as they like. So, but all in all, the days are long. The work I do is very is boring. Is
Mm-hmm.
not everybody can do it properly because sometimes I spend 2 hours on one horse if I have to. You
Okay.
know what I mean? And that's a long time.
Well, maybe
That,
not in Barbados, but certainly overseas. Would you ever have been exposed to buggy racing trotters?
of course,
Mm-hmm.
I I almost went over to the dark side and never came back, sir.
Yes, the dark side, the trotters, man.
I did that one year. I was hurting and I didn't go to Florida and I decided no, I was trying to just get my body healed by just rest. You know what I mean? I said instead of going on there working, no, that means you'd be working 12 months of the year, right? So I said I can take some time for myself to try and heal.
Yeah.
My friend came again. She called me and told me that she has a friend that got 25 horses and everybody walk off the job. I said, well, that's not a good thing. When everybody walk off the job, he can't be a good fella. You know what I mean? She said, no, he's good. He's a good guy, blah, blah, you know. So she told me he just wants somebody to do the stalls and he was
Mm-hmm.
paying me good money to do it. So
Mm-hmm.
I said, okay, I would do it. I was not feeling good, but the money, you know what I mean? At that time of the year, to get us our money, I said, well, I can't refuse it. So I went and I did the job. So I got at 5 o'clock in the morning and we started, both of us. I did 12 stalls, he did 13. And before I could blink, we were finished, right? Everything was done. I don't think it was even 6 o'clock yet, and we've done all 25 stalls. So I think, well, Lord, this is an easy job.
Easy money home.
I go home now. And I remember he said, his name was Norm. He said, Sean, are you ready? So I look at him like, ready? We, we ready? We talking about ready? I said, Norm, we're talking about being ready. He said, come on, Sean. If you could ride him, you could drive him. And that was it, man. He just showed me how to. It was not hard to do. You put the harness, you put the thing over the neck. I don't know if it's the harness the way I call it, and then you just slap the two
Sure.
things and that's it. All the bits and everything seems to thing. And
Mm-hmm.
because once you're a good rider with good hands, that's basically what it is. You 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 just try to make a horse trot as fast as possible without breaking stride. And you gotta do it is like a balancing act. You know what I mean? You just keep them in your hands. You just keep them in the hands. There has some horses that like race horses. Some of them are just one pacers, so they
Mm-hmm.
can't go no faster than what they are. So but they will get. In other words, they're not going to quicken. They got some pace, some horse that trotting that when you do this, they would
Steers
quicken.
and
Yeah, that no, so they're out no, they have a quick turn of foot. Then you have other ones that don't have any turn of foot, but they will build a big momentum, momentum, and just get better and better. So you gotta have that racing sense in your head. So I guess because of the rider, and you sense for pace and sense for when you got a good horse in your hand, that I adopted that so fast. I mean, that I was really thinking about. I even got my guy short man, Stephen Walcott, he was working with me at the time. I called him because he knew she used to come back up in March, and I said, short man, what are you doing? He said, I'm trying to just wait to come back. I said, look, we got some money here we could make. You know, he could come up if you want to try, if you like it. And he came up and he was doing the trotting thing too, and we both had a good time. We even got back to the Woodbine in April. We were so late here too. I mean, it was disgusting how late we were. All our horses were not ready to run till late. You know what I mean?
True.
But
I'm just going to show you quickly because we want to get through some stuff here before we wrap up in a few minutes. We've seen some pictures here, your family, yourself and your dad, yourself, your dad and your son.
Yeah.
If we could run through a little to the next page, Mr. Producer. And we see some pictures of you there, or your early days.
So that's me. That's me standing on the ground there. That's Ricky Griffith on a horse called Dancing Tar. She was my first ride. And that's her baby. His name was Tyra. I ended up winning a race on him too.
Okay.
The other picture in the middle is a horse called Girl. That I used to ride back in the day. And then right, that's when I had in India. Horse called Young Diana.
And what's the next slide? The next slide, please.
Oh, well, that's my father. Yes, on the top left, that's my father and Sir Gary leading a cruise missile after we won the one of them Breeders' Classic races, 2 races. The one next to them at the top, that's Ricky Griffith. The last race Ricky Griffith won for me in Canada. That was in 1998, because he finished riding soon after that. The one at the bottom right left is my first ride at the Garrison, a horse called the Hippie. As you can see, I was very small then. The middle, that's me in Australia. Not Australia, that's in India, riding.
Okay.
And the one to the right, that's Ben Tom. When I won Ben Tom.
The great Ben Tom.
Yeah,
the great Ben Tom.
I had a
next slide, Mr. Producer.
Oh, that's me working. That's me working on some legs on the left. That's Brino winning the Gold Cup with a lot of guys who were very happy about it. And that's me and Chris Griffith with the cup, showing off.
Showing off. Next slide. Well, we did the songs already, so yeah, your memories, Dane.
That's the horse there. In the left there, that's Wisdom is Gold. That's the first horse I bred in Canada that she won a stake race. That's the stake race she won in Fort Erie. Slade Callahan right in, and that's, you can see my dad is there. My brother died, he's there. Brett Callahan, everybody, somebody's there. That's me in the middle there. That's when I won the little scurry race in March there. So I showed the boys still at 57. I could still look the part.
There you go. There you go. Next slide.
Oh, all right. That's me and Sir David Simmons at the Gold Cup when I won in 96. That is in India. Deputy Dujon Gaslogi with me. My son. That's me in Australia winning my winners in Australia. Ricky Griffith winning my first win as a trainer. And that is oh there.
That is Jim Carter look like.
That's dressage.
Dressage.
Roberta Foster, her big mare that won.
So you also work with dressage and Jim Carter horses.
Yeah, I used to work on that horse a lot here. She went away for a couple of years now. I think she's gone for a long time.
Okay.
But I did a lot of work on that horse when she was here in Barbados.
Okay.
Here, he,
Next
she was.
slide. I guess that's the last slide coming up. Right?
Oh, that's myself and Nippers with my big old horse Joshua. After
Okay.
he won a stake race there, came in the Breeders' Race. Um, so he's just having something a nibble out the
All right.
hardware every month.
No, we're getting close to the end here. Our hour is about up, but I want to ask you um, two last questions. One, um, any new adventures on the horizon? You're a resilient person. You have had some challenges. You've had some tough times, and you have always been able to bounce back and deal with things. So, are
Mhm.
there any um,
Yeah,
new
I
adventures
listen.
that you're thinking of?
Yeah, listen. We've been doing this show, horse racing journeys, for a little while now, and sponsorship has always been a problem. You know what I mean? But
Mm,
we had a big following here in Barbados and Canada, the States. So after we did such a good, we did really well we got, I can say it out loud, we got Ken Ramsey to come to Barbados last year when he came on our show, and I asked him if he would come back to Barbados, and he said, "Well, Sean, since you asked me, I think I'm gonna think about it." And
mm,
then Wula was here, and no, we didn't reap no sweets from all the hard work we did. You know what I mean? Nobody sponsor us for doing nothing, and so I decided this year that I'm going to take the bull by the horns. We got a big following now. I'm going to host some events. So we got a lot of events coming up during the week of the Gold Cup, the Stanley Gold Cup. And I'm hoping that people will support us.
mm.
As I said just now, we acquired a new sponsor today, Mount Rum, which is, I mean, going in there, I didn't expect anything to happen, but she liked the idea, what we were doing. And she said, I'll support you guys. And
Well, I wish you
that,
success
yeah,
in additional sponsors.
yeah, I think so. I'll be working on. I got some friends doing some work for me with some bigger sponsors, but it takes time to get to these big
Right?
fish.
Yeah,
You know,
but
but hopefully,
plotting, keep
yeah.
plotting. At your present age now, this is the last question. At your present age now, what would you tell your younger self?
Well, um, I I don't have no regrets of what I've done. So I would tell my younger self, you know what? I've done. I think I've done everything right. I work hard for everything I do. It's just that some bad breaks came along. I can't really fault my older self for what happened. So
Mhm.
I would say I played the game the way it was supposed to be played. I did everything right. I worked hard. To this day, I still work hard, and
Mhm.
I really can't fault or say anything that I would tell my younger self, but other than do the right things and live life to the fullest, But I really can't fault. I'm
That's
not gonna back up
that's
fault and say that I did this or did that wrong. Even myself as one thing I can say what I'm learning, what I've learned about myself, okay, is that mental health issues go, and I learned this from my son, okay.
mhm.
So if my son had issues with autism, I think I might have had issues also because of, look at my, why should I at 2 years old, 3 years old be so fascinated with horses and just can't get horses on my head? And you understand me? That's all I did in my life. And
Yeah. You did it your way. You did it your way.
in my way. So I mean, I think all of us have our things. I think 57 years ago, or we won't really know what autism was or anything like that. But I
Mhm.
think I might be on the spectrum too, and I think I just play the game like how, you know what I mean, how the cards I got dealt. You know what I mean? My father allowed me to do what I loved.
Mhm.
He did not. He knew I wasn't good at school, but he made sure, as he said, you know, I made sure you went to Combermere to do those things. You know what I mean? You learn to, you could read, you could write, you could count. Nobody can rob you. That sort of thing.
Right.
I think the environment at Combermere was really good for me, where everybody, I must admit, everybody was really like when they want to race at school and that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Everybody would at school, at prayers, the headmaster would. Most of the time I wasn't there, obviously. You know what I mean? Because I used to be
Sean,
at school out.
you know, our time is up. You know, unfortunately, it was an exciting hour.
Yes.
We got to know you, but unfortunately, we've come to to our limit.
The road, sir.
I
The
want
end of
to
the road.
thank you, Sean. It has indeed been a great pleasure to connect with you and learn more about your life from growing
Yes.
up in England to your move to Barbados during your formative years, your immigration to Canada to pursue your dreams as a jockey and a horse trainer, and now to return to Barbados. Your outstanding contributions to the world of horse racing are immeasurable, despite many
Thank you.
setbacks. I want to thank you very much for being our guest tonight
You're welcome,
and
sir.
wish you all the best in your future endeavors.
Thank you very much.
Good night.
Good night.